Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Saturday Morning Adventures continued, issue number 20 from IDW, Genie and a Bauble Baby. So this issue is basically It's a Wonderful Life with Mikey. So we start off with Splinter basically being annoyed because he hears this crash as he's trying to meditate. And what happened is that a stink bomb was let off in the lair. Turns out that Donatello was working on some kind of crowd control device, which is basically a stink bomb. Meanwhile, Michelangelo is trying to do new skateboarding tricks. Somehow him doing tricks has caused the stink bomb to go off. So now their lair smells even worse than usual. They're saying something because they live in the sewer, obviously. And so we just kind of get Donatello arguing with Mikey, saying that he's causing nothing but trouble. And Splinter tells Mikey, hey, why don't you go take a walk? Go take a walk until Donatello cools off and maybe reflect on your behavior. And Michelangelo's like, what do you mean by my behavior? Splinter says, well, you're very much a, how do they say, free-spirited, which has many advantages, but... And then Mikey interrupts him with, but I'm not as good a ninja as others, right? I'm like, that's kind of interesting because Michelangelo is actually the best ninja out of the brothers when it comes to natural talents. Like when it comes to like who's the best ninja, I'd say it's probably Leo. Leo seems to be the best ninja. Even though Raphael is like really up there in terms of fighting and stuff, his hot-headedness can get in the way of his fights, whereas Leo, he's just better overall because he's able to control his emotions during a fight. But in terms of like who has the most natural talents, it's Michelangelo. Michelangelo were to actually take ninja training seriously, he would be the best. He's just not because he'd rather party and goof off and have fun instead. So yeah, I just thought that was kind of interesting. So he decides to go skateboard, try to take his mind off things, and he ends up tripping over this ring. And he rubs the ring to kind of clear it off. And a genie gets summoned. And Michelangelo is like, wow, like a genie. So that means that you're going to grant me 3 wishes, anything I want, right? And the genie's like, no, that's the genie of the lamp. I'm the genie of the ring. I only grant 1 wish, and it's the wish that you need, not the wish that you want. And so he teleports them. We got some stuff with Shredder that I'm going to skip. But he teleports them, and Michelangelo's like looking around. He's like, you didn't take us anywhere. We're in the same spot we were just at. And the genie's like, are we? Why don't you look around? And so Michelangelo goes back to the lair, and he realizes that it's basically empty. And he's just kind of checking around, seeing if he can find Splinter. And he finds Splinter. And Splinter is feral and just psycho. He sees Michelangelo and he immediately attacks him. He gets pissed off when Mikey calls him Master Splinter. And he says, I am Hamato Yoshi. I am a man that looks like a rat, and you are not one of my students. You're an imposter, and I'm going to destroy you. So he tries to kill Michelangelo. And Michelangelo's like, what the hell's going on? And the genie basically explains that before Hamato Yoshi got mutated, he lost everything. He might have turned just as mean and nasty, except he found a little turtle that made him laugh and called him Splinter and made him feel like things weren't hopeless. So Michelangelo, being his goofy self, is what kept Splinter from going psycho. And Michelangelo makes a run for it, and he comes across his brothers. And his brothers, they look like they just stepped out of a BDSM convention or something. They're just like decked out in bondage gear and spikes and stuff. And they think that Michelangelo is a poser. He's like an imposter. And they're going to deal out turtle vengeance. His brothers are psycho too. Because Splinter has gone psycho and Splinter raised these guys. So these guys are violent psychopaths. And it turns out that even like Shredder is the mayor of the city and stuff. We don't get to see anything about that though. Michelangelo's journey never leaves the sewers. But they start going psycho on Michelangelo and they end up knocking him out. And that's when the genie kind of just explains, you know, have you learned the lesson I was trying to teach you? Like, I'm not trying to get all sappy on you. And I really want you guys to pay attention to these words because I don't know about you, but these words like that the genie's saying, it really resonated with me. It really hit me. So the words are, not to get all sappy on you, but all of us change the world just by being in it. And you never know how big a hole you leave behind. After you've seen how you've influenced the world around you, you can put up with anything. Always remember, there's no reason to feel inferior for being who you are. And yeah, basically that's like the lesson that Michelangelo's learning is that him being who he is affects those around him in a positive way. And I guess just to get a little bit too much information, maybe, these words really resonated with me. I suffer from multiple anxiety disorders as well as depression. And there are plenty of times where I just feel worthless. Like, I feel like, why do I even bother getting out of bed this morning? I feel like my life isn't living up to its potential. That I don't contribute anything. That I'm just taking up space and oxygen. And I just reading these words, like, it hit me and it made me like really think about it. All of us change the world just by being in it. It's true. Even if you don't really do much, you being here affects the world. And you may not think that you're doing much, but your presence affects others around you in a positive way. I say that because there are times where it's like, you never know how much someone means to you until they're gone. And then that's when you start realizing all the ways that they have impacted your life for good. And yeah, like there's this story about, I've heard this before, I forgot where I heard this from. There was this guy who basically went to a bar constantly. And that's basically kind of like all he did. He was retired. He didn't have any family. He just spent all his time at the bar. And he ended up passing away from like a heart attack. And the people at the bar were actually really upset. And they were sad because they're like, this is a guy who came in every day. We started up conversations. Like, we built a repertoire. We built a friendship. And you may look at it as like, oh, that guy probably had no idea how much of an impact he left on those people. He just thought that these were just bartenders that just served him alcohol every day. But it's like they actually impacted his life. They were actually sad when he was gone. And it just reminds me of the fact that, like, you never know how you impact others. Like, just your presence alone can affect other people in a positive way. And so just remember that all of us change the world just by being in it. And you never know how big a hole you leave behind. I was like, damn, that actually really hit me. You've seen the way that you influence the world around you. You can put up with anything. Always remember there's no reason to feel inferior for being who you are. And I was like, those are actually words that I kind of needed to hear, especially at this point in time. And it's just kind of funny that it's from a kid's comic, modern day kids comic of all things. Usually I'd give this like an average review. Like, this is just your typical Saturday morning cartoon episode in comic book form. I feel like they didn't really go with the whole The Wonderful Life as much as they could. Like, we got to see how he impacted his brothers. Very, very minimalist. Like, most of it was just that they're angry because Splinter is angry, and they're violent because Splinter is violent. But we don't really get to see how it deeply impacted them. We got to see a little bit of Splinter, but that was kind of it. Like, we didn't get to see how is the world itself affected? How is Casey affected? How is April affected? How is the city affected? Especially now that Shredder is the mayor of New York. We didn't get to see any of that. So I feel like this could have been a story that should have had like maybe 2 issues, maybe 3. Like, we could have expanded upon this a little bit more. But it would have been nice to see like really how much of an impact, how much would change if Michelangelo wasn't around. Because of all those things, I usually would have given this like maybe like a 5 out of 10. Like, it's just an average issue. But because of the words, like the lessons that it actually teaches you, the words, the dialogue that the genie gives, like, it actually just really resonated with me. And so I would actually give this like a higher grade because of that. I really wanted to talk about that. There's a little bit more to the story, but I'm not going to spoil everything. And it's not like really all that important. The more important part is just the lesson, specifically the dialogue that the genie gives, which I've already shared with you. And I don't know, it resonated with me. It hit me. It was something that I kind of needed to hear, especially at this point in time, like with where I'm at mentally and things. And I just wanted to share that in case there's anyone out there that is going through similar things, that is going through like feelings of worthlessness or whatever, that, yeah, you being alive, you being in the world is already affecting others in a positive way. And you don't know how big of an effect you have on others. You may think you don't have much, but you do. Always remember that you do. That you never realize how big of a hole will be left behind by you going, by you leaving the world. And that you should never feel inferior for being who you are. And yeah, I just wanted to share that. And because of that, I enjoyed this a lot. Like, I really needed to hear those words. And I just wanted to share them with you. So there you go. There's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Saturday Morning Adventures continued, issue number 20 from IDW. Hope you enjoyed, and I hope to see you next time. Take care. Later. Thank you for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you didn't, I still want to thank you for watching it this far, and I hope the next one is more to your liking. With that said, thank you once again, and I hope you guys and gals have a good one. Later.